Hello, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to make another Pennsylvania Dutch dish called Schnitz and Knepp. And in Pennsylvania Dutch, what that means is apples and buttons. So here's where we're going to start. You need to get a 2 or 3 pound end of the ham, the butt of the ham, depending on the size of your family. And you're going to open it, of course. Place it on a cutting board. And what you want to do is cube it. Now you've seen me cube potatoes in the past. It's very similar, except this time we're going to cube the ham. If you get one with the bone, you're going to have to cook it off the bone first. This one's partially cooked. Cuts down on the time on the stove. And, well, we're going to cube what we can first. That's the bone. Once you have your ham cubed, you want to put it into a large cooking pan, saucepan, whatever you like to use. That's going to hold some water and some other items. Spread that out on the bottom, and then we're going to add some water just to cover the meat. Going to start with 2 cups. And it looks like I'm going to need another 2 cups. That should do it. Now we're going to put it on the stove, bring it to a boil, cover it, and simmer it for an hour. Okay, while my ham is cooking, simmering if you will, what I'm going to do is start the buttons or the biscuits that will go inside. Now if you don't have time, you can probably get one of those rolls of Pillsbury biscuits and just cut each of the biscuits into quarters and throw those in. But it's lots of fun just to do the whole thing from scratch once in a while. So here goes. We're going to start with 2 cups of flour. I already have that measured. And then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. And of course I just use my hand. I can visualize a teaspoon of salt in my hand. Throw that in. Try and get 4 fairly level teaspoons of baking powder. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here it is. It's my baking powder. You're getting a new creation for dinner.
What's that?
Schnitz and Knepp.
Schnitz and Snap.
Schnitz and Knepp.
I don't know what Knepp is.
Buttons.
Buttons?
Buttons of biscuits. Biscuit buttons.
Oh.
And Schnitz, of course, is the apples. But I have to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. And then what I've got to do is melt 3 tablespoons of margarine. I melted the butter in the microwave. It just took 30 seconds. I'm going to drizzle that in here. I'm going to stir that around a little bit. And then I have 2/3 of a cup of milk here we're going to add to make it into a dough-like consistency so we can drop it into our boiling water at the appropriate time. And we want to add 1 egg to the mixture as well. The batter gets a little yellow with the egg yolk in there, and that just kind of gives it that Pennsylvania Dutch feel. Now it's a matter of waiting for the ham to cook, and we'll add the other ingredients. So the other thing we're going to do is add the brown sugar and the Schnitz, or dried apples, to the mixture before we even put in the biscuits. Normally, apple Schnitz comes in a very dry, hard form, but they also have dried apple rings. The Schnitz is normally found around here in the fall when the apples are coming off the trees and there's a lot of drying of apples going on. So they're kind of all sold out right now, but I was able to find in the bulk foods down at Dutchway was these apple rings, and they'll do just fine. Time to add the apples and brown sugar. So let's get the lid off here. Oh boy, it's cooking good. And we're going to add 1 pound of apple Schnitz. And if you're using the Schnitz, you do have to soak them in water for 30 minutes. But because we're using the dried apple rings, they are not as hard. And we can just pull them out one by one. They're already moist. And drop them into the broth with the ham. And if I didn't say it already, it's 1 pound of apples. Each one of these containers is ½ a pound. By the way, they're lovely to eat as a snack, just tasty and chewy. They're so good. I'm going to add my brown sugar now. Now I say 2 to 4 tablespoons of brown sugar. I have 3. I like sweet. My husband doesn't, so this is kind of a compromise. And that way, hopefully, everyone will like what they're eating. Some people will add a cup of chopped onions as well. But again, my husband doesn't like cooked onions, so that's one of the things I leave out. Everybody's going to adjust this recipe to their particular taste, and that's okay. We're all individuals, but the basics are the ham and the apples, of course, and then we're going to add the buttons, which are the biscuits. Okay, and basically we're going to steam those apples good and hot by putting the lid back on and let that brown sugar work its way through, and yummy, yum, yum. If that lid is still hot, we're going to use the hot mitt just in case. Okay, we're going to let this cook for 30 minutes and simmer and boil, and we'll be back. I'm going to add the buttons now so that it'll cook, and it should just be another 20 minutes. We're going to cover that and let it just cook.